Hi.
Hi.
I'm here to see Daniel. I'm here to photograph this event.
Daniel, I saw up there earlier, but I don't know where he's at now.
Okay, I'll just wander up there
I
then.
think he was near one of these things.
Okay, thanks.
I am pushing, aren't I? Yes, I can tell.
Having fun?
Hi, yeah,
Hi.
awesome.
I'm here to see Daniel. I'm here for this event to photograph it.
Awesome.
And I saw him over here, but then he went. So he'd probably be
Probably
up there.
Okay. And how's it been going? You've been here all week, right?
It's been going fantastic. We started on Monday. There's a sculpture.
I'm here with my son.
One of mine.
Nice. Is this recent from here?
No, I didn't carve that here. I haven't had much time to get.
Yeah, because you're the organizer,
Yeah,
right?
I'm organizer. I'm a sort of field instructor. And then, so we eat our meals, and usually we have this whole place, but we adapted it for a show. And then out here, this is our, this is where people start with hand carving, especially people who have never carved stone before.
Oh, okay. So
And
the amateurs.
the fellow with the beard there is my brother, and
Oh.
he's the one who helped me get started in carving. In this next tent here is the jade tent. We have Deborah Wilson, who's a world-renowned jade carver, and she has all her equipment. People can come in there and work really hard stone. So we got like the softest stone beside the hardest stone.
Right.
And then on the field are people who are somewhat, oh look at this, somewhat experienced with stone carving. So they set up their own sort of tent up here, and they're more involved in power tools. A lot of them are more advanced kind of stone carvers. And you're welcome to wander around. Just be a little careful of where the dust is and so forth, because sometimes you get a big cloud of dust going.
Okay.
You have to take a pick between under or over.
I know.
We're trying to restrict the public somewhat
What's your brother's
from
name?
wandering.
Did you get
My brother's Sandy.
Did they
Sandy?
find
Is
it?
this Sandy here?
Yeah,
Oh.
so you could start by investigating what they're doing.
Shall I get
Might
the
be
guy
good.
that?
And then I'll catch up with you. I gotta do
Okay.
a couple.
You want this?
What's going on throughout the day? I mean, there's
There's ongoing carving that'll be happening, and then actually, come on in here. But one thing is very interesting. The fellow over there, they're making paper hats. Is a traditional hat that they make in Italy. The stone carvers every morning will come, make their paper hat, put it on, keep the dust out of their hair.
Oh, okay.
And then the next day they do the same thing. And each going on.
And then I stuff it right into the
other room.
right into the outer ring, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
like that.
But you work in wood.
I work in wood, yeah. I have my own company, custom building and bricks that I drop in. And then I kind of, people roll in and use the sawmill. So I mill a lot of wood too.
So is this soapstone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pass me the round one.
Yes, love.
No.
No, the little round one?
Yeah.
There you go.
And then when you got there, it's smaller.
Right, to get into the neck.
Yeah.
Good for sitting, are they?
Okay.
Oh, here, take my towel.
So you can,
Yeah.
I've got lots, I've taken a whole side.
So do you have a studio?
I have
with
quite a
your-
large studio in my home up in Vernon. I'm on 1.7 acres,
Right.
and I used to grow garlic actually for my summer job, but I gave that up, and now it's just I'm focusing entirely on my studio, and I've been at this for 52 years actually. I was one of the first to carve jade in BC.
So it's just jade you work with?
No, I work with other stones too, because
Right.
over the years you collect every number of beautiful, marble, granite, basalt, lapis, in the gemstone realm. Up north, Dees Lake area.
Oh, okay.
And then Cassiar, of course, in the middle of the province.
And there's different types of jade, right?
nephrite jade is what we have in BC,
Okay.
rather than jadeite. So there's three main areas in BC. It's Lillooet down, where everybody knows where Lillooet is, and then Ogden Mountain is north of the center of BC, Vanderhoof area kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the richest deposits are up north, east of Dease Lake, and that's where I've been getting my jade from over the last 50 years. Yeah. But and also there's the more exotics. The Guatemalan jadeite is a favorite for everybody nowadays, especially the blue. Siberian white nephrite is a lovely stone to carve, harder than our nephrite. What am I missing? There's Australian black. There's New Zealand Marston. The list goes on. There's so many different beautiful kinds of jade. I even have Chinese nephrite. Because the carvers in the Western carvers have been going over to China, excuse me, since 2014, and if we're lucky enough to be invited to a master carver studio, then they're offering their offcuts for sale.
Have you been?
Yes, 6 times now. Yeah.
Whereabouts in China?
Suzhou, just 2 hours northwest of Shanghai by car. That's where a lot of the master carvers live because of the history of what's it called? The white jade that they treasure from the western parts of China. So we're fortunate enough to meet with them and not chat with them because we don't have the language, but our common language is jade, and so we show with them and dine with them, and it's been fantastic.
What's the most popular stone to carve from the island here?
I think marble, because there's so many wonderful examples. You can see it here today of white,
I saw a few pieces.
white marble with the gray going through it, and the black with the white splotches. Texada Island has a lot of unusual stones there that are represented here. I actually have some of that brucite from Texada at home, which I'm going to go home and carve now.
Do you hoard rocks?
Oh yeah, we all do.
I would imagine.
Sure, yeah.
So do I want to keep all of this, but just round it?
It's rounded.
So,
See here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So should I be going like this
No,
around?
take off the corners.
Yeah, okay, so flat, with the flat, like so?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to find, but if you've got burl kicking around, then that's great.
Is this your first symposium?
Yes, it is.
What do you think of it?
You know, I think it's absolutely fabulous. I really do. I am so struck by the just the joy and the optimism that people exhibit. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And
It's a great setting, isn't it?
you can't beat the setting. You can't beat the food.
Right.
It's just really a fabulous experience. And the people that they've brought in, Sandy is just wonderful with the beginners, and some of the others are tremendous. I really wanted to meet the fellow that was the parliamentary carver, the Dominion carver.
Yeah, I heard about him. Is he not here today?
Yeah, he is. You'll run into him down there.
Okay.
And just to know that we have something like that in Canada is really exciting.
So how many hours have you got invested in it so far?
So far, hours. So it's now Saturday morning, so figure 8 hours a day since last Monday. So we're looking, what, 8 times 5, 40 hours?
Right.
And it's probably a quarter done.
Mm-hmm. And how many more hours do you think it'll take?
Well, probably another 120 anyways.
Mm-hmm. Is that typical?
Each stone is different and each carving is different. So it's the amount of detail you want to put in, the hardness of the stone, the complexity of the size of the stone sometimes comes into play. There's so many variables. It's some pieces will take months.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a piece in Vietnam. It took me 3 months of 8-hour days, 5-day weeks, and it's just, you know, and also the skill level of the carver.
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody like Daniel will, and John, they're 4 times as fast as I am.
Right. How long have you been at it?
I've been at it about 12 years.
And what inspired you to get into it?
When I worked as a chef, we used to do buffet showpieces for buffets.
From ice?
Ice, tallow, salt, vegetables, all sorts of different things. Gum paste.
Are you still a chef?
I'm retired.
Retired now.
And so when I retired, I needed to have something to keep me busy.
Yeah.
And so this is what we evolved to.
So it's not necessarily something you do for money. It's more for the joy of it.
Absolutely. It's most artists like John over there. It's will, you know, they sell things, but mostly I think the underlying thing is to share.
Mm-hmm.
It's to share the piece with other people. But it costs money.
Oh yeah.
So the tools, the equipment, the time, because we have to eat as well as everybody else. So it helps when they can sell a piece. Because these bits wear out, so you have to replace them. So
and they're not cheap. That's probably what, $50?
About that, yeah. So that's the thing. So you know, like in your
those aren't cheap either.
Your respirators,
the replacement canisters for those are like $20.
And your motors burn out.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at, you know, a couple $300.
Right.
The stone is like this particular stone. To get it here is like $4 a pound.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not inexpensive itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're getting rid of it, so it gets more expensive as the piece materializes out of it. So, because you're going to probably lose anywhere from 30 to 50%. So most, and some more. Some carvings where you lose 70% of the material that you start with by the time you finish up.
I'm noticing I guess those are called fractures in the stone. Yeah.
So these are just seams that are in there. Yeah. They're not really a fracture.
Do they weaken the stone?
Because they're a different stone. It will be a different material. So sometimes things like this will be harder and sometimes they'll be softer. But it doesn't necessarily weaken the stone. You just have to be a little bit more cognizant that they're there and take your time until you figure out how to address that. And then sometimes if you'll find small fractures, and then you have to kind of work around them or incorporate them into the piece.
The reason I asked was I'm thinking you put in all that time, and then it just breaks because you weakened it somehow. I mean, that must happen.
So sometimes within the stone, you will come across something as you're carving it, and it'll blow apart. Oftentimes you can, you have to stay flexible as a carver, because then you have to make adaptations to what you want to do. And so you might start out thinking you're making a cat that's going to look like this, but at the end of the day it becomes a mouse that looks like that.
Right.
And so you have to kind of keep that in mind. It is stone, it's a natural material. You don't know when it was formed, or 200,000 years ago, what imperfection was in it as it was happening. And you can tap stones. There's techniques that you can to see to help eliminate that.
So when you tap it, you can hear the difference.
Get rings and things like that. So, but that doesn't mean that's only what 80%, say. No matter what you're doing, you're dealing with stone, it will sometimes throw a trick at you. And you have to be able to stay flexible.
Yeah, I really like the veining in it. It's quite interesting.
Myself and my neighbor Greg came up.
Have you been here before?
No, my daughter lives in Saanich. So through visiting her, I met a gentleman by the name of Kent LaForme, who's an accomplished sculptor in Victoria. And he was talking to me about BC Marble. So I came up to BC Marble. At that time, Daniel Klein, who is the director of this symposium, was carving a piece. So he and I got chatting and became friends. And so when Daniel was restarting this, because Daniel, this was on hiatus for a few years, he asked me if I'd be interested in coming. And I said, yeah, sure, Daniel, it sounds like a great time. And the amount that you learn at a symposium like this, because of all the different experience and the different styles and the different creativity within the artists, it's amazing for anybody, because you pick up so many tricks and so many different techniques, and you see a different style, and all of a sudden you're going, oh wow, that's I think I want to incorporate that into one of my pieces. And it's so and the amount of talent in this symposium here is pretty amazing. We have John Fisher over there, who studied in Italy. He's sitting down there painting. He's an extremely talented individual who just takes a piece of rock and within a day has it so roughed in that you can actually start really seeing detail coming out of it. Colin next door here is also doing some amazing work. Over here we have Phil, who's he's working on the Parliament buildings, the restoration of the Parliament buildings.
Oh.
And then Luke, who is in the same tent with them, is an indigenous person from here, from this area, that has done a monument in Stanley Park. I mean, and it just goes on and on. And so it's such a pleasure to meet these guys, and to just spend time with them, and then to carve and look at each other's pieces. That's a real it's an honor.
And it's inspiring.
Just an honor to be here.
Inspiring.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But inspiration is in a sense, it's everywhere. It's I find my inspiration just walking down the street. I see things and And I just think, oh, that'd be so cool to do something like that. And
So when that happens, what's the process? Do you take a picture of it, or do you just keep a mental note?
I
or-
make a mental note. I sometimes do then take pictures. Depends again on the piece that I'm going to be working on. Colin and I were talking with Fred a few minutes ago. There's different methodologies. This piece here, I'm doing what they call direct carving. So I'm just carving directly into the stone. Sometimes we'll make a model or have pictures that we keep referencing back and forth. There are methods where you'll actually make a model and then you'll scale it and then you'll make points on the other model to just kind of duplicate it. There's different techniques within that kind of stuff. So I go back and forth between the making a model and doing this style.
Mm-hmm.
Some of this I enjoy because it makes me identify with the characteristics of the stone a little bit better to work with, especially if there's a lot of color in the stone, because I try and incorporate that into pieces with the components of the carving to highlight differences so it augments it a little bit. When I'm working with a piece of white marble or something like that, it's often work with a model, a marquette, because then I'm not so worried about the color because it's consistent.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm more worried, usually like Colin over here is doing a horse head. And can we bother you for a second, Colin? Sure. So you can see where it's the white piece, but he's, you know, the symmetry is what really gives, you know, gets the character and that, and you get the flows within the shaping of the rock and stuff.
And that's easier because it's
not
solid.
not easier. There's no, that word doesn't really exist in stone carving. So it's different. It's I don't know. Maybe you can help me out here. I'm saying the difference from doing marquette modeling and as opposed to direct carving.
Well, if I was really talented, I could just direct carve it. But it's a form I'm trying to understand. And there's so many different planes. And as you say, when you're working with the white stone, it's all about the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
So creating, in this particular piece, the head is tilted. It's tilted in a couple different directions. So achieving the symmetry is difficult. You have to be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And once you can see it, you can carve it.
Now the piece behind, is that the model for the one in the foreground?
Well, not really. It's just, for me, it's something I did quite a while ago, and it's a reference point for some of the planes. It's I never quite finished it because I wasn't quite happy with it. So it's just a reference point for whether the curves are smooth curves or the square curves or whatever they are.
Concave or convex.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to understand the form. And then abstract it from there.
Mm-hmm.
John, we're coming to bother you.
Oh no.
This is John.
Hi, John.
Hi.
John is an amazing artist
Well,
and a master carver.
profile carving. I think that for thousands of years, people carved without eyeglasses. They carved without protection for their eyes,
Oh,
and
okay.
so they knew how to carve, sending chips away from themselves.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you
That
only
makes
do
sense,
that
yeah.
by looking behind the chisel and working on the far
Right, right.
edge or the profile of the block.
Yeah.
You don't carve the stone in front of you,
Right.
ever.
How long have you been carving?
About 40 years.
Yeah. And where's your work normally seen?
Probably at my house. I don't have too many.
You don't have a gallery?
I have.
Oh, you have a gallery. Your house is your gallery.
My house is a gallery. I
Yeah.
have over 100 pieces at the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're your babies. You don't like to sell them?
Oh, I would sell them if anybody wanted to buy them. But,
Okay.
but
where's your
I'm
where's your
down
place at?
in Northern California.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say I'd come by and take a look, but that's a little far.
It's very high-end. I mean, high-end sculpture, classical marble sculpture.
Right.
And so, not too many people in the market for that.
Yeah.
And they have to really see it in order to put out that kind of money.
Right.
And so they really need to come to my house.
Yeah. Do you have any special clients that collect your work?
No, but I did just get a piece in a major collection of the largest collection of American figurative sculpture.
Oh.
So it's back east on the East Coast.
Oh.
So it's a big piece.
East Coast of USA?
Yeah.
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 Okay. And what's your website for people to check out?
JohnFisherSculpture.com.
Okay. Great.
Hi, my name is Daniel Klein. I'm a professional stone sculptor. In 1993 and 1994, I attended a Stone Sculpture Symposium in Washington State, hosted by the Northwest Stone Sculpture Association. And when I was there in '94, I thought it would be great if we had a symposium here on Vancouver Island. And everybody said, "You should do that, Dan." So I helped to organize the first one in 1995. And it ran till 2016. It was, and then as you lose volunteers and things, it stopped. And then a year ago, we decided to try to get it restarted. And so the event that you're seeing today is actually the first one in about 8 years. And we're hoping that this will be a new beginning for it and it'll continue. What we do is we basically bring a bunch of stone carvers together, people who have never carved before as well as professionals. And we have a few instructors who can teach people about stone sculpture. And we sort of cover all aspects of stone sculpture, have a variety of workshops and events for people so that they can grow in their development of learning about stone sculpture. And this year's been just fantastic. It's our first year back, but we've had 25 participants and we have about 5 instructors. And we suspect that based on the reaction from people who've come, it's really going to grow for next year. Currently we're at the Cowichan Lake Education Center in Lake Cowichan. In 1995, I was looking for a place to host the first symposium, and I found this location. And so we had our first symposium here in 1995, and then we had subsequent ones till 2011. And then for about 4 or 5 years, we had them on Thetis Island at a Christian camp. And that's about the time that it ended. And but then when I decided I wanted to restart it, I thought, let's go back to the beginning. And so we returned here. And in fact, the fellow who runs the whole place is the same person as when we began, Dalton Smith. So it was really great to reconnect, and they've been super supportive, and it's really turned out to be a good event, you know. So what we do is we offer a variety of different sort of plans for people. So there's a basic plan where it includes accommodation and food, and it includes instruction. And then some people, they may want to just have the food, and maybe they live locally, so they just commute back and forth, but they want to be here for the whole thing, so they eat here as well. Other people choose to eat and stay somewhere else, and they just come for the instruction part. And then we also allow people to come for a number of days. And this year we instituted something new, what we called the Saturday Sampler, where somebody could come just for the day. People who have not ever carved stone before, want to just check it out, maybe are a little hesitant to dive right in. And also some people who are skilled sculptors but have a day job, so Saturday is really the only day they could come. So we're trying to accommodate different people's schedules, and one of the things we like to do is not have it too structured. There's a certain amount of structure that we have, and then we allow for spontaneous workshops. So there might be 5 or 6 people who want to learn a certain aspect of sculpture, and we'll just say, okay, after lunch, come to this place, and we'll put that together for them. And it seems to work really, really well. And everybody seems to get what they need out of the occasion. So, our organization is the Vancouver Sculptors Guild, and the website is www.sculpt.ca. So it's very simple. Or you can contact me directly, Daniel Klein, at sculpture@shaw.ca. And we're looking forward to, we've actually booked the time next year, so it's the second week in September. We plan to have, it turns out it'll be the 30th anniversary of our first symposium. So we're really looking forward to that. It's like it, based on, we even had the kitchen staff, one of the ladies was already carving out there, and she goes, I'm gonna have to come back to this next year as a participant, even though she works here. So I think she'll be booking time off. But we've had a lot of people who said, I want to come to this next year. So yeah, it's a wonderful venue, wonderful instructors. Oh, I get this guy, well, he's coming in. Actually, I was just talking about this lady here. Come here for just 1 second. Michelle. Michelle works here at the Cowichan Lake Education Center, and she's just been working on her first sculpture, which is a loon. And she was telling me that she plans to come as maybe a participant next year.
That would be fantastic.
That's wonderful.
I'm going to keep working.
Yeah, you do that. And I told you, online, you can learn all about it at sandyklein.com.
Yeah.
About how to do a
Or
loon.
soapstonesculpture.com.
Okay, soapstonesculpture.com.
Yeah.
This is my brother.
Okay.
You got to come this way, Sandy. So you can. This is my brother, Sandy Klein, and he is the one who got me started in stone carving. Sandy still carves every day, and how long have you been carving, Sandy?
58 years.
58 years. So I was 3. 3 when he started carving. So we have a family tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long time. This will take me all day to sand this down.
So when well, that's interesting. When you're in that process of finishing it, sanding it and polishing it and whatnot, I imagine you have to have certain, like, I wouldn't say sandpaper, but like the tools to get it to a certain state, and then you sand it?
Mostly sand. It's at that state now where I've done the files and the grinders and all the tools I use to get it so it's looking reasonably close to the finish and get the bumps and nicks out of it. And then you start with something like 40 grit, and you take all the rough edges off and where it's joining and so on, any bumps that were there, and then you go up to about 80, and you go all the way down to 800.
Right. Is it special paper?
One at a time. Just
diamond paper?
Wet and dry sandpaper.
Oh, wet and dry,
automotive, yeah.
Okay.
And I have some diamond pads as well that I use.
Right.
And also...
did the diamond papers, do they last a long time? Or?
They're not bad. They're a bit coarse. Yeah, I prefer regular sandpaper that wears out. This is diamond rouge.
Oh, okay.
White and black. So you can put the white here and the black over that.
Now, what does that do? Is that like a polishing compound?
This is what they polish diamonds with.
Oh,
this
diamond.
is really, really fine. Probably around 1,000
okay.
or maybe 4,000. Yeah, quite fine. So when you put it on and then you buff it, and it just brings us a finish to the top that stays. And then if you want to put a wax on top of that, it's going to glow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just time consuming. And you have to kind of pace yourself so your arms don't wear out. Other than that, it's a lot of fun. See, I'm gonna start with 80 on here. Right
What
now.
kind of stone is this?
This is called Quadra Island marble.
Quadra Island marble.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's from Quadra Island.
Yeah, it is.
Have to clarify that.
Well, it's funny though. There's also Orca marble, which is found out west of Port Hardy in a mine. And different islands have different kind of rock.
Right.
There's black marble in Port Renfrew.
A huge variety of
yeah, and you got to know where to
there.
get it, and you can pick it up.
Yeah.
And a few of them I went to the mountain and picked them up as well. And then I prefer to buy the rock from
people that have been established a long time, they have stockpiles. Like Dan has a stockpile, Richard has a stockpile.
Right.
And you hear about other people, and then you come to a symposium like this and you have people bringing rocks to you and to tell you where else you can go to get other rocks. So it's really helpful that way. And you see different techniques, different tools.
Do you have a website?
I don't. Yeah.
What about a gallery?
My wife has a gallery in town in Duncan.
Which town?
It's a frame shop in Duncan.
In Duncan?
Yeah, it's called
Whereabouts in Duncan?
Station Street Gallery.
Oh, what's the name?
Could I do that? Sorry.
Yeah,
right